Okay, welcome to robotics class. What I want to tell you is if you want to verify your answers, there is a very easy trick. Solve the exact same problem using DH parameters. And your individual matrices, individual homogeneous transformations may not match, but your final answer would be the same. So if you work out the problem using rotation matrices, and if you work out the problem using DH parameters, final answer would be exactly the same. Now, after we are done with inverse kinematics, what I want to do is, actually, I want to show you that how we can construct this robot inside MATLAB. And then we can solve the forward and inverse kinematics directly in MATLAB. So for that, you are going to need a CAD program on your laptop. So I would strongly recommend either installing SolidWorks that is available, or if you have Mac, or if you don't like SolidWorks, Autodesk Inventor is equally good option, and that is available free of charge to all the students from Autodesk website. And Autodesk Inventor works on Mac. SolidWorks does not work on Mac, but Autodesk Inventor works on Mac. So, and both of these have MATLAB translator. So basically it can take a CAD model and convert that into a MATLAB kinematic chain that you can analyze inside MATLAB. And later you can run PID loops or control loops inside the MATLAB, and you can actually simulate that robot with PID. So that's all coming next. So as a hint, please install SolidWorks or Autodesk Inventor on your laptops. So that is something that I would suggest you to try. Any questions before I begin? Origin not on the first joint. Are you allowed to change that origin? And yes, so you should, the hint about the origin is origin has to be fixed. It should be the inertial axis. So z naught, x naught, y naught has to be fixed, and where it is does not matter. Usually we take it as the zero joint, but we haven't looked at the special cases when the robot geometry does not align with the coordinate frames, and I will solve those problems maybe a little bit later. But in today's class, I'm going to work out some DH parameter problems. So does everyone remember the rules for DH parameters? At least I don't, so I'm going to follow the rules. So let's look at a robot diagram. So you have a revolute joint. Then there is a prismatic joint. And now this is interesting, that there is another prismatic joint which is shown over here. So if you think about it, that this is the first revolute joint, then we have a prismatic joint, and we have another prismatic joint, and this is where the end effector is going to be. So this robot configuration is R parallel to P, perpendicular to P. So R parallel to P, perpendicular to P is the robot configuration. And what I'm going to do is, first and foremost, assign the coordinate system. By now, you should be expert in assigning the coordinate system. And just make sure if my assignments are correct or incorrect. And tell me if the rules that we talked about are they getting followed. So I'm going to draw my coordinate systems like this. Z-axis is in the direction of actuation. X-axis is perpendicular to Zn and Zn minus 1 and intersecting with Z-axis and Zn minus 1 axis. Right hand coordinate system. And I'm gonna give you some distances. I'm gonna call this distance as A1 and this angle as theta 1. This angle as theta 1. This distance as d2. This distance as a2. This distance as d3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve this problem with the DH parameters. So yeah.
Okay, we could assume that the P motor which is on over there is at A1 plus D2. The first P.
First P, no. So A1, usually A's are fixed, D's are moving. So the way it is the prismatic joint, that cylinder is at a fixed distance A1, but that cylinder can extend by D2. So if you take the derivative of A1 will be 0, but derivative of D2 will be D2 dot. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to write down the rules for DH parameters, and I'm going to give you a shorthand notation. So it is Zn minus 1, rotation about Zn minus 1, so that Xn minus 1 aligns with Xn. This is a shorthand notation for theta. Second, rotation about Xn so that Zn minus 1 gets aligned with Zn, that is alpha. Third rule is n minus 1 to n around Xn, that is R. So n minus 1 to n about Xn is R. And the fourth rule is n minus 1 to n about Zn minus 1 is D. Now we have to construct this DH parameter table. So this table is going to have 4 columns. So here, this would be for joint 1, 0, 2, joint 3. So this is 1, this is 2, and then this is 3. Actually, this is 0. I'm going to call this 0. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2, and the end effector is 3. Then I'm going to have theta, alpha, r, and d. Now first, look at zn minus 1. So right now we are looking our zn. Right now zn, so n is equal to 1. So n is equal to 1. So I'm interested in looking at rotation of z0, rotation about z0. So xn minus 1, which is x0, would continuously get aligned with xn. And that rotation is going to be theta 1. And please understand, in this particular case, it may look like that theta 0, I mean x0 and x1 are aligned for the values of theta 1 is equal to 0. But this condition needs to be valid for all the values of theta. So imagine that after some orientation change, the x0 and x1 will not be aligned. So we need to rotate by theta 0. And this is very important. We are going to rotate x0 so that x0 gets aligned with x1. Everyone understood this? That's why this is positive. That is explicitly I want to state. Yes.
So if you had, for example, x1 theta plus 90, or theta plus 90, or just theta.
If my x0 is in the direction of y1, it would be theta 1 plus 90. Okay, then alpha, and please note alpha is xn, which is x1, rotation about x1, so that z0 gets aligned with z1, rotation about x1 so that z0 gets aligned with z1. It is always aligned. So this is value, this is 0. R value is the distance along xn, which is along x1 from 0th frame to the first frame, and that is 0. Now the last one is the frame 0 to frame 1 along z0, that is d. So which is going to be a1. Everyone understood this? Now let's move on to the next part. Now my n is going to be 2. So the first rule is, please read something like rotation about z1 so that x1 gets aligned with x2. Rotation about z1 so that x1 gets aligned with x2. And please note that this is minus 90. Now next is, oh yeah, sorry, I made a mistake. Sorry, this is 0. Correct. Now the next rule is rotation of xn, which is x2, which about z, so that z n minus 1, which is z1, gets aligned with z2, and now this is minus 90. And next is n minus 1, which is 1 to 2 along x2, 1 to 2 along x2, that is given by a2. And the last one is n minus 1, which is 1 to 2 along z1, 1 to 2 along z1, which is d2. The last is joint number 3. So my n is equal to 3. So again, apply the rules. Zn minus 1, which is z2, xn minus 1, which is x2. So get x2 gets aligned with x3, and your rotation is going to be about z2. So this is 0. Following the rule for alpha, which is x3, rotation about x3, so that z2 gets aligned with z3, that is alpha. Then r is the distance between frame number 2 to frame number 3 about x3, that is 0. And the last n minus 1 to n, which is 2 to 3 about 2, and that is going to be d3. Just please make sure that I have not made any mistake here. Yeah.
Why is the first one theta isn't x not aligned with x1 already?
Yes, it is aligned, but not for all the values of theta. So imagine it's slightly offset. So theta is changing. Imagine theta is changing. So for theta 1 is equal to 0, they are aligned. But if theta 1 is non-zero, they are not aligned. So to align them, you will have to rotate by theta 1. So that relationship has to be valid for all the actuation angles and actuation variables.
That phase 2 only for the first one, because then by that logic,
Shouldn't it be minus theta on the if it's
Minus theta, the rotation is about zn minus 1.
Yeah.
So now our n is equal to 1, and we are going about zn minus 1, which is z0. So rotate, curl your fingers in the direction of rotation. Thumb is pointing towards z0. That's why I said it's positive.
I mean, if the angle is already theta 1, to align it with x1, shouldn't it be minus theta 1? I mean, shouldn't you rotate it backwards to align it?
Okay, so now the question is, I'm going to align xn1 to x1. So x0 needs to be aligned with x1. So, okay, I understand the confusion. So imagine it is like this. Now, what should I align?
So it's right now it's theta 1.
Right.
So if we need to align it to x0 to x1,
Correct.
shouldn't we turn it minus theta 1? Yeah, that works.
Right. And then your answer will be the same. In your DH parameter table, if you look at that table, you are going to have cosine theta n, sine theta n, sine, cosine alpha n. If you look at that DH parameter table, the signs would take care of themselves. Okay. Okay, if you want to do it minus, I'm totally okay with it, because finally you are going to have cosine of minus theta 1. It will take care of itself. You're welcome to try.
I'm cool. You're the boss.
I'm not the boss. I'm not the boss. And honestly, I wouldn't use DH parameter at all. But I have to teach you, because all the textbooks, you open a robotics textbook.
So this is just optional. We can stick to rotational measures.
I understand. And let me show you a case where the DH parameter fails. But before I show you the case where DH parameter fails, I have to show you the cases where DH parameter works. So bear with me. All right. Any other questions? So if I haven't discouraged you enough, let me work out one more problem. Hmm?
Why is it that we are going for the theta only in the first joint?
That is the only rotation. The rotational joint, the revolute joint is the first joint. The next two joints are prismatic joints, so there is no theta.
Everything else tops out.
Okay. So let me take one more problem. So, oops. So this is the revolute joint. There is another revolute joint, and there is prismatic joint. Now we have to draw the kinematic. We have drawn the kinematic diagram. Now I have to assign uh, the coordinate system. And by now you should be expert in assigning the coordinate systems.
So we can do that.
Yeah, it has to be aligned, but it doesn't have to be direction, doesn't have to be in the same direction. And then there's a rotation here. There's a rotation here. And there is this distance. By the way, I have met some diehard roboticists in my life. They live and die by DH parameters. So they will say DH parameter is the way to solve forward kinematics. But I don't argue with them. So again, yeah, I didn't draw. Oh, I didn't draw A2. Oh yeah, A2. Yes, correct. A2 is this.
Just to make sure this goes off or like.
Believe it or not, it's like the Scara robot in your homework. That's why it looks scary. Yeah.
This robot is moving from right to left. So if I draw the same diagram from left to right, I mean just mirror the image.
Yes, you will get the same answer.
Will I get-
You will get the same answer. Doesn't matter. Okay, do you want me to write the rules? Don't look so discouraged. Okay, DH parameter is not bad. So Zn minus 1, rotation about Zn minus 1 to align Xn minus 1 to Xn. That is going to give you theta. Then rotation about Xn to align Zn minus 1 to Zn. That gives you rotation alpha. Then n minus 1 to n along Xn. That is going to give you R. And the last, n minus 1 to n along Zn minus 1 will give you D. Now I'm going to construct this DH parameter table. Well, I didn't conclude in the last problem, but once you get those parameters, remember the boilerplate equation that I gave you in the last class, the big expression for H. Take those values, plug in that big matrix, and then you should be able to get 0H1, 1H2, and 2H3. So starting 0, 1, 2, 3, theta, alpha, R, D. Now Zn minus 1, which is Z0. Now you will have the same logic. Why not to rotate theta clockwise, counterclockwise? But I'm going to stick to my argument, and I'm going to say this theta is going to be positive, theta 1. Alpha is going to be 0. R, D is going to be 1. Then for second, this is going to be theta 2, 0, A4, A3, 0, 0, minus A4, minus D3.
Why is it minus? Why is it not minus 8? Minus 8.
4. Okay, let's start with the rule number. Enlightenment. Okay. So 0 to 1. So okay, let's go from the steps. Zn minus 1, which is Z0, rotation about Z0, so that Xn minus 1, which is X0, get aligned with X1 for all the values of joint angle theta. So I'm saying theta 1. Then Xn, rotation about Xn, which is rotation about X1, so that Zn minus 1, which is Z0, gets aligned with Z1. And please note, they are already aligned. So that's why I'm going to say 0. Then for R, n minus 1, which is from 0th frame to the first frame along X1. And this distance, I'm saying this distance is A2. That's why it's positive A2. That's why I have drawn the robot towards the left. Then the last one is D, which is n minus 1, 0 to 1 along Zn minus 1, which is along Z0, which is A1. Any question about the first row? Let's go to the second row. So my n is equal to 2. So Zn minus 1 is Z1, rotation about Z1, so that X1 gets aligned with X2. So X1 gets aligned with X2 for all values of theta. So that's why I have positive theta 2. Same logic applies to alpha. X2, rotation about X2, so that Zn minus 1, Z1 gets aligned with, Z1 gets aligned with Z2. And for that, that is already aligned, so 0. N minus 1, which is now wrote frame number 2 align with frame number 1 along xn. Now please notice that this distance is along xn, which is along x2. Please note, sorry, xn minus 1 along xn, which is x2. That's why this is positive. A4 is positive. Everyone understood this? Then x2 is not pointing in the other direction. X2, if it was, then it would be negative.
So are we considering R and D as a vector quantity and not scalar quantity? Because it is depending on both.
Okay, so now the question about vector or scalar. Whenever you are looking at the directions, and that is an important question that I think I should address. So first of all, the vector quantities or scalar quantities, that question comes in rule number 3 and 4. The way you look at that is n minus 1. So I'll give you an example. Right now, say my n is equal to 2. N minus 1 is 1. I need to go from 1 to 2. That is the trick. Going from 1 to 2 in the positive. So once again, I know where the confusion is. I know. So right now we are here. Do you agree with me? So yeah. So n is equal to 2. So for n is equal to 2, I need to go from 1 to 2 along xn, x2. Now, if you are going from 1 to 2 along x, what that distance is positive or negative?
You're going in the positive direction too.
Correct.
Why did you just say that?
Yeah, I said, but then I had to write it down. All right. I'm on number 2. So n is equal to 2. I need to go from n minus 1. I need to go from 1 to 2 along x2. So I need to go from 1 to 2 along x2. So in what direction I should be going? Oh, actually negative. You're right. Oh.
I thought I was following you.
Yeah.
The only one that was
Yeah. I made a mistake. Okay, correct. So that's okay. I make mistakes just to make sure my students are following. Okay. So n is equal to 3. N is equal to 3. So theta is equal to 0. Alpha is equal to 0.
There won't be any others. If one, right?
No, wait a second. Yeah. So this is 0. Yeah, that is because of prismatic zone. Yeah, this is correct. Yes.
Why would that be negative?
Why would be negative A4?
No, so for 3.
I need to write the rule again. You want me to write the rule again? Which one?
You can explain why it wouldn't be 3 if you're going down to 3.
Okay. So I'm going from 2 to 3. So my n is equal to 2 or n is equal to 3? N is equal to 3. So I'm going from 2 to 3 along Z2. That distance is, that's why you have minus D3. Got it? Okay. All right.
Isn't it A3 also be negative?
Okay. All right. I need to write that rule again.
Sir, if A4 is negative, A2 should be also negative.
Yeah,
Because
because
it's the same
it's the
axis.
line is the first row.
Yeah. If A4 is negative, A2 also should be negative. Right?
Okay. Hold on. So I need to write this down. N is equal to 1. So going from n minus 1, so which is going from 0th axis to 1 along x 0. So going from 0,
X1, sir. So
so x1, x1, x1. So I'm going in the x1 direction, 1 to 2. Okay, yeah, this would be negative 2. All right, are we in agreement? That's why I don't use DH parameters. But don't tell anyone that, okay? All right, now I'm gonna show you a problem. If someone tells you, hey, DH parameter is the thing, you can't solve robotics problem without DH parameter, then what you should do is you should politely showcase this kinematic diagram and ask that gentleman to solve this problem by DH parameters. And if he can, then he should be teaching robotics one, not me. So this is a very commonly used robot. So you have a revolute joint, you have a prismatic joint, and you have a revolute joint. And then, so I need to specify the axes. This is Z naught, this is X naught, this is Y naught, Z1, Y1, X1, Z2, Y2, X2, Z3, Y3, X3. This is the end effector. This is the 0th frame. This is the first frame. This is the second frame. Okay. So in this case, please observe that the 4 rules for our coordinate frame, they are not satisfied. So, and I want you to tell me where the rule is not satisfied. So can you see?
Number 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
So x1 is not satisfying the rule. So that what it means is we need to translate or we need to shift it. Now there are 2 ways to do it. The easiest way to shift is you can shift it over here. You can say this is going to be my this is going to be my x1. This is going to be my y1. And this is going to be my z1. And now please observe the 4 rules are satisfied. Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
Please remember this trick. So what I have done here is I have not coincided the frames, but I have translated the frames in such a way that they are aligned. 0, the translated frame number 1 and frame number 0, now they are not on top of each other, but still they satisfy the rule. This is a very important trick to observe when you have a robot arm which is crooked, which is not expressed in a rectangular shape. If you have some weird shape like a robot arm which is always at an angle, So always make sure you can translate the frame so that you have the alignment. And let me show you where this would be super useful. Just a second, I'll answer that question. So imagine a robot arm. Imagine a robot arm, which is something like this. So wherein you have a joint or you have a prismatic joint over here. But this is not perpendicular. So no harm in actually drawing a perpendicular and parallel and translating the frame here. If your rules are not satisfied, just imagine the same case that you have a prismatic joint, but instead of a nice perpendicular arm, the arm is inclined. So what you can do is you can use the same trick. You can actually translate the frame here and solve the arm. It will give you the exact same answer. Only thing is this angle will be given to you. So if this angle, I'm gonna call it like gamma, then you are gonna have R cosine gamma and R sine gamma as your distances. But the problem would still work. So now what I want to do is remember the rules. If you don't remember, you can refer to the rules, and let's try to fill the DH parameter table. Let's try to fill the DH parameter table. So this is 0, this is theta, alpha, R, and D. So joint number 1. So theta 1, the rotation is about Z0, so that X0 gets aligned with X1, and that I'm gonna call that as 90 plus theta 1. So this is theta 1. Alpha is going to be the rotation of X1, rotation about X1, so that the Z0 gets aligned with Z1, and that is 0. Sorry, that is 90. Then R is the distance between the 0th frame and the first frame along X1. So along X1, the frame distance. Now this frame distance is actually the translated frame. So we are going to look at the translated frame. So ignore the frame shown in green. Remember the frame shown in black. So this is 0. And I need to give you the distances. This is A1. This distance, I'm going to call this as A2. This distance is A3. And this distance is A4. So D distance is A1. Now for joint number 2, apply the 4 rules and you will get plus 180, 90, 0, A2 plus D2. I will give you a minute to see if I check my mistakes. Did I make any mistake anywhere? Okay, joint 1. All right. Let's look at the rule. X, and I need to write this down. X n, which is X0, the rotation about X0, so that rotation about X1, rotation about X1, so that Z n minus 1, Z0 gets aligned with Z1. So rotation about X1, so that G0 gets aligned with Z1. Okay. Right now, we resolve the okay. Are we good with plus 90? Okay. Yeah.
So I have a question, and I'm not gonna bust your chops, I get it, we make mistakes, but about the kinematic diagram. How forgiving are you with grading? And then this is an honest question, how forgiving are you with like grading?
I am very forgiving with the grades. The only problem is I do not grade your exams.
So here lies the problem. All right, okay, well, that kind of answers my question.
I'm gonna give you a big smile. Any other questions?
So for the last frame, shouldn't X3 be?
Yeah. Hold on. We are not there at the last frame. The hell will break loose when we go to last frame. Just hold your horse. Let's go to the second frame. Are there any questions on the second frame? N is equal to 2. Plus minus. Online question. Shouldn't alpha? Okay. Since there is alpha 2 is not. Let me write that down. Okay. So xn, which is x rotation about x2, so that z2 gets aligned with z1. So rotation about x2, so that z1 z2 gets z2 gets aligned with okay. Rotation about x2. Curl your fingers so that your thumb is pointing towards positive x2. Right. So alpha is rotation. Oh, z1 to z2. Yeah. Z1 to z2. Correct. Yeah, minus 90. Z1 to z2.
I'm kind of glad you're not grading at home.
Z1 to z2. Okay. Good comeback. I got it.
I still got my mustache. too.
Yeah.
You shaved your shame on me,
Yes.
Professor.
Everything you say is being recorded and will be passed on to the dean of students after this class. Okay. The last point is frame number 3. All right. So tell me about theta 3, positive or negative? Yeah, you are pointing. You're pointing my mistakes, right? Tell me, theta 3, positive or negative? So theta 3. Then alpha is 0. Now what happens to R? Can you tell me what should I write as R? So R is the distance. Now it's very easy to check. R is the distance between the n-1, which is 0, second frame, and the third frame along xn. So which is, can you see in this particular case, the DH, so A4 parameter cannot be represented anywhere. So I'm going to write the D4 parameter, which is A3. So now the question is, what comes here? And you would be correct to say 0. But please understand, no matter what you do, this parameter A4 does not appear in the table, which means when you find your homogeneous transformation matrix, it will be missing A4. And that does not make sense, because if you were to rotate the joint number, if you were to rotate this frame, I'm going to call this theta 3. So this is theta 3. If you rotate by theta 3, clearly cosine component of A4 and the sine component of A4, they have to come in picture somewhere, right? But if A4 is not coming in picture in the DH parameters, then if you were to solve the forward kinematics problem using DH parameters, it will not contain A4. What that means is DH parameter technique, DH fails. Yes.
So if we rotate the frame 3 along C3 by 90 degrees, that would follow our frame rules also and will account for A4.
Right, but then the robot, basically the robot has to be fully extended, but you are going to extend one arm in one direction and one arm in the other direction.
That's just the end effector frame. That
Yes.
we can define anywhere we want.
Yes, then you can do that, or you can use modified DH parameters.
So like our rules as is the frame, the rules that we follow to set up our coordinate frame, we need X3 to intersect with G3 and G2 anywhere.
We need X3 to intersect. Yeah, you will.
But if we rotate it, we will follow that rule also and we will account for A4 in the.
Correct, I agree. But in this particular case, the DH parameter fails, and you will see that there will be many robots in this configuration where the DH parameter technique would fail. And this technique is going to fail because the distance is not along the X dimension. So if you look at the third rule, what this DH parameter technique talks about is if your robot dimension, and this is what I want to point out, if your robot dimension is about Y axis. So what I want to point out here is if your robot dimension is about Y axis, your DH parameter technique will never work. So the trick here is to align the frame so that all the robot link lengths are along X or along Z. So please understand, it is inherent in this DH parameter, which is not explicitly stated, that all the robot link lengths should be along X and Z axes. For some reason, if your robot link length is on the Y axis, then the DH parameter technique would fail. And in this particular case, yes, you can align it, but consider the case when you have a robot arm, which is like just the case in point. You have the robot arm which is inclined, and this robot arm which is inclined does not have a projection, or the projection is not on X or Z axis. Then your DH parameter technique will not work.
There might be some robot arms which are both on the X and Y axis, right? So it won't work for them.
So basically, whenever you see a robot arm, so that's what I'm trying to say, that DH parameter assumes that all the robot link lengths, all the physical parameters, physical lengths are expressed along the Z and X axis. If your robot link length is on Y axis anywhere, the DH parameter will not work because it is not in R or D dimension. Everyone understood this point? Yes, any other questions?
If you take R is equal to A4 sin theta.
Yes, R is equal to A4 sin theta, and
Initial position is 0, that's why it is 0. If we change theta a little bit, we have a projection.
very good. I have not worked that out, but I would encourage you to work that problem out and compare the answers with the rotation matrices answers. Actually, what I have done is I have worked out the solution just like what we talked about, is rather than, so there is one more trick here. So in this particular case, the strong proponents of DH parameter would say the DH parameter technique is failing because you assume the coordinate system wrong. It may be possible for the DH parameter to work if you use coordinate frame something like this. So what I'm showing you here is joint number 2 and joint number 3. So this is, if I were to assume Z2, Y2, X2, and if I assume, remember, for DH parameter to work, all the link lengths should be along the Z axis or X axis. I'm going to assume Y3, X3, and Z3. And then I would assume this distance as A4. Then you would be able to complete the table for the DH parameter without any problem. So in this particular case, theta is going to be 90, alpha is going to be 90, R, please note, is going to be A4, and D is going to be A3. But please understand, in this particular case, frame number 2 and frame number 3, they are not the mirror copy of each other. I mean, they are not exactly similar. So I'm drawing the frame number 3 in such a way that the dimension A4 is along the X dimension. Some of you may ask me, what happens if I draw the frame something like this? Clearly, the end effector is not an articulation joint. So you can show this as Z3. The only thing is you need to make sure that the condition for X3 is satisfied. So if you draw something like this, the X3 does not intersect with Z2, then you will have to do the translation and solve the problem. But still, it may be possible to solve as long as your important dimensions of the robot are about the X-axis and the Z-axis. But the key underlying point what I want to emphasize here is your robot arm, so forward kinematics will work for rotation matrices. So I would strongly recommend using the rotation matrices. But if you want to use DH parameters, be my guest. You will not lose any points because finally your answers would be the same. Okay, any questions from online students? Yeah, student theta 3 90 plus theta 3. Which so which one are we talking about? Oh, yeah. 90 plus theta 3, correct. So 90 plus theta 3. Yeah, okay. Okay. Any other questions here? So with this, we are done with forward kinematics. The next part is inverse kinematics. And the inverse kinematics problem, there are two ways to solve inverse kinematics problem. Before I start inverse kinematics and set up the problems, any questions on forward kinematics? By the way, assignment number 3 has been postponed by 10 days. So that should give you some time to build the robot. But please make your own robot. Okay, because when you take picture of that robot, we need to see your name engraved or printed or scratched, something like that on your robot. Okay. So you should not be using same robot. Idea is you build a robot and then see forward kinematics and inverse kinematics. Okay, Let me set up the inverse kinematics problem. So the inverse kinematics problem is defined as find joint variables, which is thetas and d's, for a given end effector position and orientation. Now, what does that mean? It means, imagine if I give you a robot arm and I say my end effector should be, its x position should be 100 millimeters, y position should be 200 millimeters, and my z position has to be minus 100 millimeters, and theta x would be maybe 90 degrees, theta y would be maybe 20 degrees, and theta z is about 10 degrees. And these could be the inertial angles. So these can be defined in terms of usually certain roll, certain yaw, and certain pitch. Roll angle, pitch angle, and yaw angle. That could be given. Or sometimes they will give you something called as the action angle. So they will give you defined rotation in terms of axis and angle. Or they can give you the rotation in terms of Euler parameters. Or they can give you the rotation in terms of quaternions. So no matter what the representation is, that representation will always be, and this is important, always with respect to x0, z0, y0, and x0. Because please understand, everything else is moving. The only frame that is fixed is the zeroth frame. So the end effector position and end effector orientation must be defined with something that is fixed. You can't play soccer when the goalpost keeps on moving, right? So you need to have a fixed reference. So it will be always with respect to z0, x0, and y0. And I need to find out, so the values of theta 1, theta 2, theta 3, or if I have, so in the case of R, 3 revolute joints, I need to find out theta 1, theta 2, theta 3. Or if I have, say, revolute joint, prismatic joint, revolute joint, then I need to find out theta 1, d2, and theta 3. How do I find out these joint variables once the end effector values, rotations, and positions are given? There are two ways to solve this problem. One is a geometric approach. So the first approach is a geometric approach. And the second approach is analytical approach. And the third approach that usually is used is numerical approach. So let me give you a very quick example of a geometric approach. Think about that we just have a robot arm, just a single axis robot arm. And that robot arm has they say radius r, and then there is just one rotation joint that is given by value of theta. So in the case of this particular robot, this is going to be my end effector. This guy here is my end effector, and I can specify x and y position of this end effector. I can specify x and y position of end effector, and looking at the geometry of this triangle, I should be able to find out the value of theta. You say this problem is very simple. That's fine. So let's add one more joint to it. So if I add another joint to it, and then I have another link. So this is going to be R2. And I'm gonna call this angle as theta. So this angle is going to be theta 2. And I give you another position. Now this is my end effector. I give you a position x2 and y2. Now please try to understand, to resolve x2 and y2, to resolve x2 and to resolve y2, you are gonna need both the angles and both the distances. And believe it or not, we have actually worked out this problem. We have solved the forward kinematics problem for this guy. And if you remember, the equations that we got, they were something like, I'm gonna call this R1 cosine theta 1 plus R2 cosine of theta 1 plus theta 2 is going to be x2 R2 sine theta 1 R1 sine theta 1 plus R2 sine theta 1 plus theta 2 is equal to y2. Now the inverse kinematics problem is, we know x2, we know y2. x2 and y2 is given, r1 is known, r2 is known, r1 is known, r2 is known. Find theta 1 and theta 2. This has two equations and two unknowns, so this can be solved. But please note, this is not a simple algebraic equation. It's a transcendental equation. You cannot add and subtract to get the answers. Are you with me so far? So what you need to do is, you need to employ certain tricks, which is like expressing the angles in terms of the trigonometric identities, or expressing the angles in terms of half angles, or adding or subtracting the angles to come up with a simplified equation so that this equation can be solved. So in next class, I will talk about what tricks we can use to solve transcendental equations. So I'm going to stop here, and I will